Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to break down complex source material and really get to the heart of it, quickly and clearly.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something with some real political charge. It's a very potent poem called Ballad of the Third Class.
Mm.
And it's dedicated, quite explicitly, to the forgotten hands that built the nation. That framing itself says a lot.
It absolutely does. It's less like typical poetry and, well, more like a political statement, almost a call to arms, you could say. So our goal today is to look past maybe the heated language and really unpack what this ballad is saying. What are the specific problems it identifies, and what's this radical change it seems to predict? It doesn't just hint at it, it frames it as, well, unavoidable.
Right. And we're looking at, it seems, three big ideas woven together here. First, this deep-seated corruption at the very top. Second, the direct result, the intense suffering of the people at the bottom. And third, this idea of an inevitable awakening, a unification of these marginalized people, the third class.
Exactly. And maybe we should start right there. Who is this third class in the context of the poem? It sounds quite specific.
Yeah, it doesn't just feel like a general term for the poor.
No, it's more defined. It's not just about poverty, but about class position relative to power. It's the working classes, the laborers, the people doing the physical work, the ones who, keep everything running but get none of the rewards politically or economically. They're the hands that built the nation, like the dedication says, but they're completely ignored by the structure they uphold.
Okay, and the poem. It jumps right in. No warm-up. Just immediate harsh judgment on the rulers.
Zero subtlety. It basically says you can't find an honest person among them. It names, well, positions anyway. Presidents, premiers, ministers, all drowned in greed and lie.
That word drowned, it's powerful.
Right.
It suggests corruption isn't just something they do, it's what they are. It's engulfed them. But I was also struck by the visual details it uses for their power. Things like their golden chairs, their polished cars. Why focus so much on the shiny exterior?
Well, that's how power often works, isn't it? Projecting an image. The gold, the polish, it's meant to look stable, legitimate, authoritative, but the poem rips that away immediately. It says these things hide rust beneath the paint. It's saying the whole structure is failing. It's not just about individual bad actors. The system itself is decaying underneath that glossy surface.
You see the effect of that decay.
Okay.
Right? The poem says the system isn't even commanding basic respect anymore. It makes a point about people who once bowed down to them. Now they curse the holy saint. That feels like a complete breakdown of legitimacy.
It really is. And that loss of respect, that's critical. It's often the first step towards upheaval, losing faith in the authority figures. And what drives that loss of faith? The poem makes it clear it's the daily grinding suffering of the people.
Which takes us straight to the human cost. The focus shifts hard to the victims. We get that image of the bootlicked men who clean their feet, now just wandering into shame. That's quite a fall. But the line about the children, that one really hits hard. Little ones with empty bowls who still play the hunger game. Wow. It's a brutal choice of words, isn't it? Calling starvation a game. It twists the idea of childhood innocence. It suggests survival itself has become this awful competitive struggle. And that, I think, shows the depth of the systemic failure. When children are fighting for food like it's a game, the whole moral foundation has crumbled.
And the poem argues this failure isn't just the politicians. It indicts, the whole network that keeps the third class down. It points fingers at the hospital, the bank, the court, saying they're all bound in hidden ties.
Yes, that's a key part of the argument. It's not just about stolen money. It's about the systems controlling life itself being rigged.
Okay, but why those three specifically? Hospital, bank, court. What's the connection? Well, think about it from the perspective of someone in this third class. The bank controls your money, your debt, your chance to get ahead, or more likely, your inability to. The court represents justice, or the lack of it. The feeling that the printed laws on those polished floors protect the powerful, not you. And the hospital, that's life and death. Access to health, to survival, often tied to wealth. So linking finance, law, and health shows the oppression is total. There's no escape. It touches every part of life.
And no amount of official procedure can hide it. The poem's quite clear. Their polished floors and printed laws can't cover people's cries. The human reality just shouts louder.
Precisely. All the fancy legal structures, the appearances, they're meaningless against genuine human suffering, according to this source.
Okay, so we have this deep suffering, this systemic critique. But then there's a shift, right? The poem moves towards action. It describes this change almost visually. From the shacks and factory yards, a murmur starts to grow, a storm of feet, a rising sound. You can almost hear it building.
It starts small, that murmur, like a shared understanding dawning. But it quickly becomes this overwhelming physical movement, the storm of feet. This marks the end of passive acceptance. And the language becomes really decisive here. The age of kneeling heads is gone, it declares. The age of fire begins.
The age of fire. That sounds destructive. Final. Not like a discussion. Why is it framed as so irreversible?
Because, from the poem's perspective, the damage is too deep. The trust is gone. The source says the bosses and the little clerks can't wash away their sins. It suggests the problems aren't just mistakes. They're fundamental flaws, sins baked into the system. So you don't fix it with reforms. You need that cleansing fire. The system itself has to go.
Which really sets up this moral conflict. It's the revolutionaries versus the establishment. Integrity against, well, tradition and power.
And the way it personifies the revolution is striking. It's the naked truth that walks down the road, barefoot, proud, and bright.
Naked truth.
Yeah.
Barefoot. That sounds vulnerable, almost weak.
Or maybe it suggests purity. No pretense, nothing to hide, no wealth, no armor. But it's also proud and bright. Its strength comes from its honesty, its visibility. It's out in the open, challenging everything just by existing.
And contrast that with the old powers. The poem lumps them together. Temples, churches, shrines, and kings. And where are they? They hide deep in candlelight.
It's a brilliant contrast visually. The establishment clinging to ritual, tradition, hierarchy. They're retreating into darkness, into flickering, uncertain light. They represent the past, relying on shadows and old ways, while this naked truth, this revolution, strides forward in broad daylight. It makes them look obsolete.
Which leads directly to the poem's conclusion about inevitability. This isn't just a political movement, it's like a natural event.
Exactly. It uses that metaphor of a tide. No caste or class can stop the tide. No flag can block its way. You can't argue with the tidal wave or put up a border against it. It suggests the revolution is a historical force, driven by the sheer weight of injustice.
And the result is this total flip in power. The voice that was ignored, crushed to dust, is now the dominant one. It now rules the break of day. The forgotten are setting the agenda.
Right. And the poem basically waves away any last-ditch efforts by the old guard. Let foxes dance, let hounds still bark. It sees them as irrelevant noise because their empire's end is near. It's a final judgment.
So the final stanza lays out the vision. The third class wakes, the chains will break. The end of the old empire. And they aren't just asking for better conditions, it's about taking back control entirely.
Yes, reclaiming ownership. They demand the right to the earth that bore our sweat and blood. It's like saying, we worked this land, we built this place, it belongs to us.
But those final three demands are really interesting. The right to live, the right to dream. Okay, those seem fundamental. But then the right to bear our name. Why is that specific right placed last as the culmination?
Well, it takes the struggle beyond just economics or politics, doesn't it? It makes it about identity, about dignity.
So pulling it all together, this ballad of the third class isn't just complaining. It's laying out a case for a complete reset of society. Driven by this idea that intense shared suffering will inevitably lead to a kind of fiery transformation.
Yeah, and the core message seems to be that trying to hide systemic problems with fancy cars, legal jargon, or obscuring how power connects banks, courts, and politics, it just doesn't work in the long run. Eventually, the reality of the suffering, those cries, will break through any artificial barrier.
It's a really pertinent analysis of how control works and maybe how it breaks down. And that final demand, it leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it, for you, the listener? If this third class was always just forgotten hands, defined only by their labor and their supposed shame, what does it really mean at the deepest level for them to demand the right to bear our name after being nameless for so long? It's more than just identity, perhaps. Maybe it's about reclaiming humanity itself, something to mull over.